are diminished by a large number. The reason why?
With 1,000?
They have the ability to pay for housing. Or if you wanted to pool together, so like in my household, I have about 5 adults living in my household because I live with my mother and sisters.
Okay.
And that means we'd be getting $5,000 a month. So consider our rent paid, food paid, utilities paid. So what does that mean for us being able to now work in an economy to where now we're not being strapped for our bills,
Here's my
strapped for
simple
the
question.
costs?
What if I don't want to do that, though? What if I don't want to pay your rent?
There is an opt-out system to the freedom dividend. So if you do not want it, you can say no.
No.
Right? But this is where I'm getting
What
to
if
the
you don't
whole
want to pay
idea.
into it, though?
So this is the idea. So
Okay.
the VAT tax, which is the main proprietor of the money where it's going to come from when it comes to our universal basic income, it's not coming from consumer pockets nor income tax. It's coming from business to business charges. So let's say if you're going to make a bike, that bike needs to be put together. So if you're the person making the bike, you got to pay for the tires, you got to pay for the frame, you got to pay for the licensing, you got to pay for advertising. All of those business to business transactions would then be taxed. This is
all of that's going to be taxed.
So this is how
There's not going to be any more bikes.
This is how modern countries operate now. Almost every developed country in the world has had a VAT tax since the 1970s. And you can even see them throwing out things like the wealth tax out for a VAT tax because it's so hard to escape for corporations, and coupled with universal basic income, no consumer will actually have a net negative from that tax. So even let's say if they wanted to raise the cost, let's kind of keep going with the bike metaphor, right? They raise the cost of the bike by 10%. Your income has now increased by $10,000. I mean, $1,000. You would need to
because it's more expensive for them to operate?
Yeah, and it should be.
Why, though?
Because they do not currently pay into the system. Like I said, 60 American corporations paid zero in federal taxes last year. And it's not their fault, it's our fault. Because we created a tax system that is not smart enough for the most savvy corporate accountant to get
past. But $1,000 to people who do absolutely nothing, is that really considered smart? Because there's no standard, correct? Like if I can literally just stay at home and eat Cheetos and be completely worthless, and I'll still get this money.
Yes, and the reason why is because we
gotta buy those votes somehow.
We need to redefine our idea of value in our society. So let me kind of circle back to the single parent at home or somebody who stays at home to take care of their parents.
See, I've heard Yang speak about this. He said that this will be a way for like the the single mothers in America. This will be showing that we appreciate what they are doing and that they can now start to receive a check. Only problem I got with that is that it's not really the government's job to pay single mothers or these people. You can choose to do that, but the government shouldn't be there to make sure that you get a check because you want to be a stay-at-home mom or because you want to be some unpaid community organizer or anything like that. And that's another thing that I wanted. With gang and the universal and all this stuff, does what the government and what the government's supposed to actually do for people laid out in the Constitution?
It specifically
does that
states.
Even matter?
Yes. So in the Constitution, it specifically states that it's the government's job to provide the welfare for society. We have turned that word into something that is derogatory and stigmatizing now. But ultimately, it is the government's job.
Is that the whole country?
Yes,
Who's we? Okay.
It's corporate media, it's people talking to each other, it's politicians using the word welfare as clickbait and as...
Well, it is pretty, okay, but go ahead.
But that's my ultimate point, is that we've created this toxic discourse that devalues people, and the only thing that right now that American society considers value is capital efficiency. And you can see that in the rise of GDP versus the rise of suicides and drug overdoses. It's gotten so bad to where, number one, those two sources of death have been the number one cause of death in America for the last couple of years. And on top of that, that has had our life expectancy as Americans decrease for the last 3 years.
And what is that one more time?
Suicides and drug overdoses.
Drug overdoses.
So that cause alone has decreased our life expectancy for the last 3 years, even though the stock market prices have been up, even though GDP has been up. And the creator of GDP even said that this measurement is not something that we can judge national welfare. And so another one of Yang's policies, and personally my favorite one, even though the freedom dividend is super awesome, is...
Who doesn't like money for doing nothing?
Human-centered capitalism.
Yeah, I saw that on his website. What does that mean exactly?
So, boiled down, it's called the American Scorecard, and this is what he will be grading corporate footprints and the government's footprints. So that means we're
Hey,
going to
look,
be...
you got another lady that wants some free stuff, something for nothing. She just put
So
something in the
again,
yang.
it's not something for nothing. We are citizen
Hold on, you just
shareholders.
you said I could just sit at home and do nothing and still get a check,
Because
right?
you are an American citizen and you're born into the richest, greatest country in the world.
Yeah, it didn't get that way by giving out free stuff.
So universal basic income is actually a deeply American idea. It's something that's been championed in Alaska, like I said, for the last 37 years. It's something that Martin Luther King had been championing even on the day of his death.
Yeah.
He was talking about providing universal basic income.
So that's a real American hero.
And Milton Friedman, he's called the godfather of conservative economy. He was for universal basic income. In the 1970s, universal basic income was almost passed into law. It passed the House of Representatives twice. And I think it was 100 economists signed a petition stating that universal basic income would be good for our economy.
Like mainstream, who are these? I'm not going to get so nitpicky. I'm asking you to name all of them, but like what group of people are these?
So it's 100 economists, and that was done in the 1970s. But it was also just recently replicated a couple months ago. I can't remember who was on it, but I know that just recently happened. Universal basic income is even being piloted in places in the United States right now, like Stockton, California. I don't know if you read the New York Times article about it, but
and
it's
so far
done,
that had been privately funded.
Yeah, and
which I could,
as of right
privately
now,
funded,
Andrew
okay.
Yang is privately funding a freedom dividend for a year for 3 American families.
Oh yeah, we love that.
Yeah,
privately funded,
And this is kind of where I'm saying that it's not okay for those things to be privately funded, because this again brings me back to the original problem and why I brought up human-centered capitalism. Is that our value as American citizens is not based off of our humanity, but it's based off of our capital efficiency. It's based off
humanity, like compassion, that type of thing.
Compassion,
all
humanity, one another.
So
if we can build ourselves
so is your judging of compassion just how much free stuff you give somebody?
So it's not about free stuff.
Okay, how much money are you going to give someone, in your eyes, $1,000 to anyone, even if they tell you they literally don't want to work, don't want to do anything? In your eyes, you're being compassionate towards that person.
Yes, absolutely. Because we should
really,
be able,
even if they're able-bodied and they just don't want to work.
So
you're still being compassionate to them.
For me, whether you can work or not does not equate your value as a human being to me.
I mean,
yes, you can
you
work.
put in what you get out. You ain't going to put nothing but playing Call of Duty all day in. That's pretty much what you're going to get out.
This kind of brings me back to the pilots that are going on right now in other countries.
That's the private. Oh, I thought you were going to say though.
So the pilots that are going on in other countries, the demographics that leave the workforce forever right now are just single moms and students going back into school.
Okay.
And if you look at right now, the fact that our economy is being automated and our jobs will be going away in the same. So I can't remember the article that it came out, but it stated it was a study done by the UN, I believe, to where it stated that 50% of American workforces will be eliminated over the next decade due to automation.
Okay.
And I work in a call center, and I've seen the Google Duplex I/O presentation of 2018 of the Google Assistant calling places to set up appointments, and it was indistinguishable from a human being. They didn't even catch that they were talking to software. So this is a real reality in my set. And it's going to come down to the fact that because...
And is it the government's job to pick you up?
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Because when it comes down to unregulated capitalism, ultimately humanity will lose the race, and it's losing now. So like Uber, FedEx, and UPS right now are currently funding automated self-driving cars and trucks. That's wiping out the number one job in 29 states, truck driving, and 94% of the jobs created in the last 10 years are temp jobs or contractor jobs, just like your Uber drivers and Lyft drivers. And that's going to get automated within the next 5 years. What are they going to do when those jobs are gone?
I don't have all the answers. I know the government definitely doesn't have all the answers.
But that's why I'm asking.
Or is but see, that's where you and I differ. I don't even know these people, okay? They're adults. That's for them to figure out. I got my own worries. You got your own worries. We got stuff to worry about. What's going to happen to them? That's not for me to worry about. I don't know them, and it's also not. It's not why the government exists, to pick you up when your job falls out from the bottom.
And that's that mindset of scarcity that's brought us to this point, to where we look at each other.
Your scarcity is my reality, but keep going.
So that scarcity puts us against each other as competitors.
But wait, how are we against each other?
So
I'm not against or for you. I don't even know you.
By that simple fact of I don't know them, I'm going to worry about my own. Worrying about your own.
Myself, my family, yeah.
Worrying about your own has led us to this point of political toxicity, and it's led us to the point of we're going to fall off a cliff just trying to follow capital efficiency and profit. That mindset of profit and capital efficiency is not one to run a country on.
Okay.
And
well, it's made us, one of the most prosperous nations in the world. But, all right, go ahead.
Right, but on top of that, you can see the fact that 50% of the wealth of our society is owned by only the 0.01%.
How much wealth should be spread out exactly? Because your side and the Bernies and the Warrens, you guys like to say that a lot. How spread out should it be exactly?
So again, I'm a defender of capitalism.
Really?
The market is able to spread resources well.
Well, you hear this? A defender of capitalism. I'm glad to hear it. I'm not being sarcastic at all. I'm glad to hear it.
Another reason why I believe in human-centered capitalism.
Okay.
It's that dichotomy between capitalism and socialism has been, again, toxic to our political discourse and has kept us from being able to run our government efficiently. Because now, especially if you look at Citizens United and you look at how much money is actually put in from lobbyists and special interests into our government.
Is Yang on board with that whole the democracy dollars?
Yes,
that was him. That's
him.
See, the thing is that Kirsten Gillibrand tried to piggyback off of him.
I know.
But yeah, now you know where she's at.
A lot of politicians have tried to piggyback off of Yang.
Yeah, exactly. So is there any, because in the Republican primaries, we literally run to kill each other, all right? We run like absolute savages. And usually you really don't see a lot of flip-flopping. We like one person and we stick with that and we don't like to move. For some reason, Republicans, we bring daggers to our primaries and we bring, sticks and twigs to the general election. Would you be cool voting for anybody that's on that table? Are you Yang? Or remember last year it was Bernie or bust? Are you Yang or bust, or are you kind of all right with anyone besides obviously Trump that's on that table? How hard is it as polarized in Democrat primaries? You're an insider now. Is it as polarized as it is when we have our primaries?
For me, Yang will always be my number one. If I were to say
Ted Cruz is still my number one, and he's just sitting there growing a beard.
Watch when he gets dunked on by Yang.
So are they going to do the basketball game?
Yes, they are.
Listen, here's the thing. I don't know if Yang should be too open to it, because my man Ted Cruz, he showed Jimmy Kimmel a thing or two on the basketball court. But we would have to see.
I don't know if you've seen Yang playing basketball, but I think he's going to get dunked. He's good. He's good.
He cannot dunk.
And Jermaine Johnson is actually a part of the Yang gang, so he's been giving him a little skills too. So.
And Ted Cruz is bigger than he used to be, so he may be asking for the wrong fight here. But anyway, tell me, because here's the thing. You're hesitating, so I know there's a Democrat you're looking at that you wouldn't go for, and if I'd like to take a guess, is that going to be Biden or maybe the home state senator Kamala?
So the ones that I'm against right now
and let's be clear. Who would you just not vote for, period? Like, they get the nomination, you're voting for, like, Jill Stein in the Green Party or something. Who do you got?
I would not vote for Elizabeth Warren.
Whoa. I thought you were about to say Biden or something. Warren out the gate?
Biden was my second one.
Whoa. Warren out the gate. You're a no on Warren.
Yeah.
Is she real? Here's the thing. Do you guys get like defensive when like asked the question that I was about to ask, which is how different is she really from Yang? Does that offend you guys?
Very different.
Okay, right.
But I'm not offended because it's a part of our discourse to be open, honest, and listen to everybody's perspective. Right. If I attack the person, I'm basically shutting down my entire point here. If I'm attacking you because of how you think, that's toxic. I can't do that.
Didn't Yang kind of do that?
No.
I thought he basically alluded to Trump being dumb because he was a smart Asian. I don't know. Point is, that was the funniest bit in the debate, so I can give you that much.
It's good stuff.
All right, so Warren you would not go with. Give me just really quick why. And then we'll go on to who else you wouldn't go with and why.
Have you heard the term neoliberalism?
No.
So it's a whole rabbit.
I've been told I'm a neo-Nazi, which is kind of hard if you're
hilarious.
Hilarious.
So neoliberalism.
Right.
What that is the faith that capitalism and and capital efficiency will lead us into prosperity. And that,
Elizabeth Warren has that belief.
yes. And you can see that in her actions and policies.
But didn't you just say you were a defender like of capitalism or
I am.
okay.
So I am to a point, right?
To a degree, all right.
To a degree.
We can't have that Wild West capitalism, right?
Right, because with an unfettered, unregulated free market, it'll naturally turn to monopoly and resource consolidation.
Okay.
And by that happening, with us living in a society that has 400 million people living in it, or 330, I forgot the number.
But maybe we just got to eat those babies. Did you see that? Did you see the babies thing?
Yes.
Here's the thing. Don't put that on, because it was a plant, right?
Yeah, it's a modest proposal by what is his name? It's a satirist. His name is John.
I have no idea.
John something.
I'm a Republican. I hate science, so I don't know about these scientists.
It's okay. So yeah.
You know what's funny? She didn't even take it as a joke. She just like, yeah, that's what I always thought. Anyway, keep going. So yeah, Warren, and then why not? You're equal. So you think basically she's too pro-capitalist?
I don't think that she has enough in her policy to change the way our economy works value the everyday American.
All right. Who's the other one that and by the way, this isn't like you can be swayed. This is if they get the nomination, you're voting for somebody else. Is Warren in that category? You can never be swayed to be pro-Warren?
I don't know.
Most likely not.
I voted for Hillary Clinton even though I didn't like her.
What?
But I voted for it for...
You had Jill Stein over there. What about her?
For me, I wouldn't have done it. I voted for Jill Stein.
If you could go back, you wouldn't do it again.
Because Jill Stein isn't even a good candidate. It's like...
And these young people got high standards. All right, Warren, we would never go for. Who else would we never go for? All right, hold on. No, we have someone voting in our straw poll, and that is yet another one for President Donald Trump.
Super awesome.
You could just vote for him. I mean...
No.
No? Right, who else we got?
I would not vote for Joe Biden.
You don't even have to explain. I clearly know why. He's the Hillary Clinton of this cycle.
I feel like Joe Biden would have ran better as a Republican. Just saying.
Well, we like to call him no black kids on the bus, Joe Biden.
Show. What is it? Yeah. He said white kids that have money and black kids,
something along the lines of black kids are just, yeah. He's very gaffe prone. Here's the thing. Your candidate's not very gaffe prone, but that's because the networks don't like to turn his mic on. So who else do we got? Just really quick, as we're wrapping up here, we got like 10 seconds. You would not, under any circumstances, do Biden, not under any circumstances, do Warren. Who else?
That's about it. Maybe Pete Buttigieg, because he's kind of in the same camp as Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, all right. So you would go for Kamala, home state senator?
Yeah. I like Kamala. I mean, I like her to a point. I mean, she's not my top nominee, but again, it's to a point.
We need some of that black girl power in there, right?
Yeah,
That'll solve everything.
Exactly. Get somebody in there.
All right. One more time, your name, and thank you so much for coming on. You have
Princess.
been great.
If I can
that's her ID. Like, that's her government name, Princess. I said she was born to be a Democrat. With a name like Princess, we knew what party she was going to be a part of.
If I can make a shameless sellout really fast.
Go ahead.
I am a leader of the Fresno Yang Gang. So
we have that.
So yes. And if you are interested, we have a Facebook group. It's literally Fresno Yang Gang. If you are a Fresno citizen, or really anybody who lives in the Central Valley, please join us. We would love your support. We love your opinions, and we want more people.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on. And if they're like you, we can have an actual conversation without it divulging into a screaming match. So
#humanity first.
Yeah, you got to make that money. Humanity first. All right, Talkradio 1680 Kged. We are here live at the big Fresno fair at the well, you know what's funny is on her way walking out, she kind of bumped the Joe Biden cardboard cutout, and I'm gonna act like she didn't do that on purpose, but she most likely probably did. We will be back in a matter of moments. Man, that went a little longer than I thought. Bottom of the hour, we're gonna check out the top of the news. When we come on back, I had the distinct honor of being on my congressman, Devon Nunez. I was on his podcast today. We were playing that back in its entirety here on the Jerris Show on Talkradio 1680 Kged.
Maybe your friend. All right, sounds good. Yeah, I wouldn't put anybody on there like that. Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Wait,
5.
you what?
I wouldn't put anybody on there.
Hey, she was willing and everything.
I was like, when I told her, I was like, look, you know your stuff, right? She's like, oh yeah. I was like, but this guy's good. She's like, oh, I can do it.
Like in the audience.
We're headed okay, sir. Let's do it.
All right, and then how long do we have, Jose? Like 2 minutes, a minute? All right. Did you guys hear me with the song? All right, good. Thank you guys. So I got both of you guys today. I probably won't even use all that. I'm literally just teasing the Devon Nunez thing. I'm gonna tease the Nunez thing and then talk about the baby eating thing.
That's right, hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more. What you say? Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more, no more, no more, no more. Hit the road, Jack. And don't you come back no more.
Welcome back to Talkradio 1680 Kged, live from our little perch here in the Commerce Building at the Big Fresno Fair. So when we come on back, bottom of the hour, we're going to check at the top of the news. When we come back, I had the distinct privilege and honor of being on with our Congressman, Devon Nunez, who has been, believe it or not, Congressman Nunez has been quite busy, to say the least, this week with a multitude of things. By the way, I love the president today, calling out, basically just telling Strokey Face, listen, if you're going to go on with this impeachment thing, just go ahead and have a vote on the floor. Let's just stop with all this theatrics. We want to see this document, we want to see this document. We just got the breaking news. Now they're going after Pence. They want to see Pence's documents and phone call records, which we've already said, Mike Pence is only allowed to call his mom and his wife. So I don't know. I mean, Mike Pence can't even have dinner with a woman that's not his wife. So I don't know what information they think that they are going to get, but I guess they think that's going to be some type of gold mine there. I don't get that one. But when we come back, top of the hour, I sit down with Congressman Devon Nunez on his podcast, chatting about how dare you, Greta Thunberg and all the climate hysteria. The congressman really, I mean, he wanted to know information about the younger people who are dealing with this climate hysteria. So Devon Nunez and we get into that on his podcast coming up next. And then, of course, eat the babies. That's kind of all I really have to say. So yeah, we'll get into that and a whole lot more. Talkradio 1680 Kged, continuing live from the Commerce Building at the Big Fresno Fair. Stay black.
Sure looking good, like something from